Hi! Hello everyone. Today we'll be doing some nerdy stuff. I am going to make some upgrades to some computers of mine. This, you may recall from way long ago, is my MATX build that I first did on this channel. I've since moved on from that and built a proper gaming PC. This is actually my second one. This is a 5800X 3D and a 7900 XT. My main rig is a 9800X 3D and a 4080 Super. This one, however, is running on the power supply from this one, and I need to put this power supply back in this one so I can put a much nicer new one, this one, into this PC. And I'm also going to put, curiously, a Blu-ray optical drive into this machine because it has the optical disc drive slot. This is going to become a ripping rig that I'll be using to back up my Blu-ray movies, etc., and put them on my Jellyfin server. So I actually had the 5800X 3D and the 7900 XT in this build originally, but I decided I wanted to use the newer motherboard in this case, which is ATX. I needed a bigger case. I had the motherboard already, and I needed to put it in an ATX rig. Eventually, I'm planning on switching the guts, all the components in this case, with the ones in my main rig, because there is actually, I didn't know this when I purchased this case, a USB-C header up here that requires an accessory to actually use it. But this motherboard doesn't have a connector for front panel USB-C. And my other motherboard does. So that is why I'll be switching them. But for tonight, we're just upgrading the power supply in this, putting this power supply into this one, reassembling this one, adding the Blu-ray drive to it, and that's all for tonight. Since I had already used this motherboard for other things, I took out the graphics card, which is my 1063 gigabyte, just to have some kind of video. The RAM, because I was using a different motherboard with different RAM. The SSD is now living as a flash drive, essentially. And the CPU, my 2700X, and the Wraith Prism cooler. So yep, those will be just fine for a ripping rig. Don't need anything too fancy in here. Just need to be able to run some sort of operating system that will allow me to rip Blu-rays. So, let's get started. The first step is that we're going to want to take the current power supply and all of its cables, never, ever, use cables from a different power supply. Ever. It will burn down your house. Don't say I didn't warn you. This is the Fractal Design Focus Tube case. I love it. I actually legitimately love it. My only complaints are that it doesn't have a shroud for the power supply so you can see all the cables all the time, and that it doesn't actually come with that front panel USB-C plug. You have to buy that as a separate accessory. I don't know why. Alright, so let's get the back panel off now. You're all going to judge my cable management. Next, we'll need my trusty screwdriver. This will do. Okay, next step, I'm going to unplug the cables from the motherboard. That's the CPU power supply there. ATX 24 pin is next. And the graphics card. Not too much in this rig. Now since it's a fully modular power supply and I've taken all the panels off, I can just pull this right on through. Okay, the power supply is out. Now, since we're using the 1063 gigabyte, all we need is one 6-pin power connector here, which is a 6+2 without the +2. I know that sounds silly, but that's how they list it. Oh, I actually have a little screw holder thing. It's magnetic. I got this at Micro Center, so I'm gonna put my screws there. Fancy. This, for the record, is my EVGA Supernova 650G. Some places listed as the G1. I think those are the same thing, but it's pretty old, but it hasn't been used that much. I think it's fine for a ripping rig. Plus, I already own it. We're going to take out one of the 6+2 cables from this, which this thing labels as VGA1 and VGA2. So we're going to take one of those cables out, because we don't need both, and we're going to put a SATA cable to power the Blu-ray drive. So that power supply is over there. Okay, next we open up our new power supply. This is a Be Quiet Pure Power 13M 750 watt. It happens to have a score of A on the PSU tier list, which actually makes it the nicest power supply in the house. I debated using this in my main gaming rig with my 4080 Super and my 9800X 3D, but that has a 1000 watt power supply and this is 750. It's perfectly fine for a 7900 XT and a 5800X 3D, but I'd rather use a B plus 1000 watt for that than an A 750 watt. That's just my opinion. All right, let's get this out of the plastic. I have scissors, but here I am doing things the hard way on camera. All right, that's nifty. So I chose this power supply both because of its rank in the PSU tier list, but also because it has a silent mode. Eventually I'm going to add water cooling to this with an AIO, so I'd really like to make it very quiet if I can. This is sort of my experimental gaming rig, things that I want to try out that I've never really done before, but I'm not sure how they're going to work. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to find all the cables we need. Oh, that's nice. They gave you a wall connector. Not every power supply does that. I'm going to use that for the ripping rig, because I think its current power cable is being used elsewhere. Ooh, I do not like that they ship their cables in twist ties. That is horrifying to me. Okay, these are the CPU ones. This one has 10 plugs and the CPU connector only has 8, and the two middle ones appear to be nothing. That's odd. They must be just trying to keep you from connecting this into the slot for the VGA. Well, we need this either way, and the other CPU connector has 2 separated, so it's 4 plus 4. We just need the 8. Oh, another good reason they might have done that is so that you know which end goes into the board and which one goes into the PSU. That's clever. The CPU connector is usually the one I struggle with the most in terms of cable management. It's just such a pain to get it all the way up here sometimes. Some people use cable extensions. I'm not about that life. I'll worry about the cable management, routing, etc. later. That is a behind the board problem. Okay, here's our 24-pin connector. Oh, that's so weird. I need to look at the back of this PSU. It's making less sense to me as I go. Okay, so MB, MB. So there's 2 plugs for the motherboard. What the hell? I've never seen a motherboard connector like this. This is why you don't use cables from other power supplies, because they do not have to line up on this power supply and they do have to line up on the motherboard end. So there's 4 not in here and 8 extra here. It's so weird. I've never seen that before. I'm really freaked out by this. Okay, 24-pin is in. Now, because there's no shroud here, there's not really a reason that I have to go through the back of the case with this 24-pin connector here. And it's a pretty thick cable, so I generally try not to bend those very much. Or maybe I should, just to get it around the GPU. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be better than it was, right? But we do need a VGA connector. Now, this is another weird thing. Okay, well, we need 1 more of those, so I'm just gonna take that out. This is 2 VGA, PCIe, whatever connectors. They're doing the 6+2. I'm just really baffled here. So they have 2 6+2s coming off this one connector for VGA. I assume that's enough power. I should probably look in the manual. Riveting content. Mia reads a manual. So that's like regulatory and safety stuff. Don't open it, you'll die. Yeah, I know that. Operating conditions, voltage regulation, minimal load. Yeah, great. Which rail has which connectors? Am I going to be able to pull enough power off this thing? There is absolutely nothing in here about how to actually connect this thing. There is nothing useful in here. This is not intuitive. Okay, so this has 12 plugs on it, right? And this has 2 6+2 coming out of the same cable. It bifurcates up here, right? I don't understand. How is that even electrically possible? Some of them must be sharing grounds or something. I don't know. I don't like it. I do not like this thing. Oh boy, this better be the best, most stable, most quiet power supply I've ever used, because this is very confusing and I did not expect to feel this way. Alright, I'm just gonna go for it. As long as it doesn't burn the house down, we're good, right? Okay, That one clicked, so it's fully inserted. Never ever trust that it went in all the way without the click. Even then, take a close look with a flashlight. Be sure. We do not want any melted graphics cards here tonight. Or next week, for that matter. Okay, they're in. I don't know. Okay. I strongly recommend that you keep the box your power supply came in and put the cables in it. Not stored with these darn twist ties around electrical cables. Why? Okay, now we take the PSU and actually put it in. This looks like nothing on camera, doesn't it? I'm going to put it in the first one in lieu of any instructions to the contrary. This is going to get tight real fast. Now we take our pretty screws. They're black to match the case. I can't see a thing back here. Oh, well there they are. I'm getting old, y'all. Little advice, don't tighten the screws all the way down until they're all in the holes. It will just make alignment so much easier for you. Because everything that's manufactured has some degree of tolerance, and most things are not manufactured to the same tolerance. So if you need a little wiggle room, you're gonna miss it when you had it, and now you don't. You know, I'm realizing that the power supply is black. It's just a slightly lighter shade of black than the case, which is interesting. The other thing I'm noticing is that these screws really scuffed up this powder coating on this case. It's upsetting. Alright, now I gotta plug these last two plugs in. I can't see what I'm doing, and now neither can you. Congratulations. Can't be too wrong if it fits, right? Guess we're about to find out. There we go. Alright, let's see what I can do with the back. Oh, this doesn't look so bad. Yeah, I'm just going to close this up as is. I'm going to commit a PC building sin and close up my build before I test it. Granted, this was a working computer when I started, and now I changed out the power supply, so it'll either blow up or work. There's really no in-between option there. Tempered glass makes me scared. Okay. I do love the captive screws, too. This case is not bad. Cases are getting expensive these days. That was the easy part. Through the magic of editing, I will test this now. All right. Power supply is on, and power button. Okay, we've got something. Hey, that looks good. I'm actually checking the fans because this thing is so quiet that I can't tell it's on. These fans in this case aren't even PWM, they're just going, they're just on. All right, we have an operating system, everyone. We have sound, which is always a plus. Let's see how our temps are. Just after power up, we're looking good. Let's install some updates while we're here. It's possible the mouse sensitivity is a little too high. And then when we're done, we'll shut down. Welcome to my project desk. I've got a bit of breadboard action going on here, some soldering, some old hard drives, some wire cutters, some other projects that I'm working on, most of which probably won't make it to YouTube, but hey, I'm always cooking in here. Under my router over there, behind the soldering iron and the speaker, is my Jellyfin server. Installing updates on Linux, Fedora in particular, way nicer than Windows. Half the time when Windows asks you like, oh, do you want to install updates and shut down and then it'll be fine for the next time, you power it on and the thing's still installing updates. What's the point? If it were up to me, I'd be running Linux on everything. It just works so well for so many things. The only thing it doesn't work for is when I play Fortnite with my sister. That has kernel-level anti-cheat that only works in Windows because they designed it to only work in Windows. Yeah, looks like everything's working, so that's this computer. Now, onto the ripping rig. Okay, let's move on to the hard part. So, as I said, this PC is a mess. It's in pieces from the last operations that I performed with it. I don't exactly know what I'm going to find here. Alright, there's our case screws. So this is a Cooler Master N200 case, MATX. One of the weirder parts of this case is that there's a fan hole in the side panel. Who's venting into their PC from the side panel? It's weird. Okay. The fans were disconnected, the front panel I/O is disconnected. Oh, this is gonna take some doing. I gotta look up which RAM slots I need to use too. Fortunately, I have the manual. This is actually the manual for two different motherboards, and you constantly have to flip back and forth between which one is which. Okay, so this is a ASRock AB350M Pro 4. Onboard headers and connectors, system panel header. That's what I want to do first. I didn't realize this board had a second M.2. There, we've cut to a better angle. And one, you don't have to see my face. Okay, so it goes PLED plus, PLED minus. We got those there. Those are in. Next, left to right is power button, ground. Power switch. Okay, next is HD LED plus, HD LED minus. I know my hands are making excellent views. I should moisturize more. And this has to be reset and ground. There we go. USB. Okay, let's try USB for the USB plug. What do you think? Seems like a good plan, right? USB 5.6, USB 3.4. I'm gonna put it in 3.4 just so I give my power supply a little more space, because it's a little further over to the right here. And then HD audio is this one way over here. Okay, this fan for the rear fan, that goes here. I remember this. It's been a few times that I've built in this machine. There you go. All right, next fan header, chassis fan 2. There you go. So I think we want A2 and B2 based on this. Oh, that's a good sound. It's like when you crack your back, you know? Ah, that is looking good. Next, we'll do our CPU. Here's where things get interesting. I need to put on gloves and get some paper towels. All right, let's get our 2700X out of the case here. This is the original one that I used in this build. So there's a little gold triangle in this corner, and that needs to match a little triangle down here. That looked good. I think I got it the first time. Okay, CPU is in. Now, we need to clean off our cooler, which hasn't been used in some time. And we're also going to need to clean off our CPU. So I'm going to do the cooler first, then the CPU. I'm going to let that all evaporate. We're going to apply our thermal paste, which is this Arctic Silver 5. And then we'll be just about done here, aside from the GPU and the power supply. Here we go. Isopropyl alcohol. Don't drink this. Will not give you the fun times you were hoping for unless you think going to the hospital is fun. Just paper towels work. I've been thinking about possibly upgrading to microfiber. It just doesn't feel like a thing I need often enough. That's good. Looking good. Okay. Wow, we're getting a lot up here. It's fine if it's not perfectly clean, as long as what's on there is thermal paste, it's fine. This CPU doesn't run that particularly hot anyway. So I'm going to do it again. And we're going to let that evaporate off this time instead of drying it off. Okay. This CPU cooler is not fantastic. It's the one that came with the CPU. It's got some damage on it, which I don't love, but it will do for our purposes here. Okay, same as before, we take a paper towel and we put a little isopropyl alcohol on it. You do not want to use water to do this. Do not use water to do this. Oh yeah, it's looking pretty good. We let that evaporate off. Now, this cooler is a little weird. It hooks on this bracket here, like most AMD coolers do, and then there's a little lever that you flip around, and that hooks onto this. In my experience, it never quite goes that smoothly, no matter how much you wish it would. All right, now we apply thermal paste. There are several schools of thought on how correctly to do this. In my experience, the rice method has worked just fine. You make a small line like rice, just a little thicker. Because again, this CPU cooler is not in the best shape. Just rub off the excess there anywhere. Like, pull that back to get a little air in the tube and recap it. There's a bunch of people online that complain that the cap is really hard to get off of this thing. I don't know what they're talking about. Now, this is the tricky part. I'm going to stick this and hook it around on this side I'm gonna make sure that we don't have this flipped because it looks like it flipped itself. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Okay, so we hook there, and we hook over here too. I'm an expert, guys. I've done this before. Never, ever goes smooth. There it goes. Okay. Now we just twist that, and we're locked in. Give it a little twisty, and we're good. Oh, that was not fun. Okay, now we connect our RGB, AMD fan LED 1, RGB header 1. Alright, which side is which? And then the actual fan header is down here. Now the trick here is to not get this cable in this fan up top here. There's a case fan on top. You do not want that to knock, because it will make all kinds of noises that we don't like. Okay, I just looped it around under the fan there. There. See? It's fine. That'll do. Next, I'm actually going to install the SATA drive for the Blu-ray drive before I install the graphics card, because I don't know how else to do this. So, I've never done optical drives in this thing before. We're going to see what happens. So this panel, you just rip it right off, and I hate it every time. So I think the first thing we're going to have to do is take this plastic cover off where the disk drive goes. I don't actually need to wear these gloves anymore. I feel a little silly, so I'm going to take them off. Also, it gets so sweaty in these gloves. I use them mostly to clean my bathroom. Ah, so there's clips. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's out. So now we've got a hole in our case that the drive can poke through. Good. Okay, next problem. Okay, that's as far as that goes. And there's the screw holes. Good. Do we have screw holes on the opposite side as well, or is it just this one? It actually matters with an optical drive like this because you don't want the thing to rattle around. This is a high-speed drive too. It's a 16x Blu-ray writer. Alright, let's take the back panel off. Back panel is off. Oh, yeah, okay. So we totally have access to the drive bay where we can put some screws in on this side too. Now, some of you may ask the obvious question, why did I buy an optical drive in 2025? Well, dear viewers, they are no longer manufacturing Blu-ray drives in 2025. If I was ever going to make a ripping rig, it had to be now, because I won't be able to in just a few short years. I think I need a different size screwdriver for this. Yes, this will do nicely. Let's see if it fits in the hole. Hey, that's a good sign. Okay, cool. So this case is so old that it actually has a slot for a floppy drive. Some of y'all aren't old enough to know what that even is. I remember installing Windows 95 on a Windows 3.1 machine from the floppy disks. And let me tell you, it did not work well. That was over at a friend's house, actually. I was impressed because they had a home network, which was a big deal back in those days. Most people did not have their own networking in the house. Wi-Fi was not a thing. Everything was over Ethernet or it was not networked. They knew I was good with computers. They asked me to try to help install Windows 95 for them, and they would not accept my answer, or Microsoft's answer, that that computer was not compatible with Windows 95 and did not have drivers and was not going to work and was just too old. But I tried. I got up to about disk 4 before everything went to... Yeah, I just didn't like it. When I was a kid, I also had access to a very old Amiga system. That thing was cool. Being a kid, I didn't know what I was looking at. But it had Daffy Duck Adventures, so how bad could it be? Well, it turns out that as soon as my parents... Well, I discovered some adult content that had been stored on that computer by its previous owner. Keep in mind, this Amiga was not connected to the internet. For you to get adult content on a machine like that could barely open pictures, as it was, that took some dedication, that took some work. That person wanted very badly for there to be adult content on this machine. And I don't know that they remembered that it was there when they gave it to us, and I dread to think about the possibilities otherwise. Once that had been discovered and child Mia asked my parents, "What's this?" that was when the machine left the house. You know, in retrospect, I can't blame my parents for wanting it out of the house after that, but I tell you, I could have sold that thing for a pretty penny now. Does anyone else remember the old Windows 98 screen of it is now safe to turn off your computer? Was that 95? I think 98 had that as well. The next machine I had after that was XP. Oh, coming from the Amiga, coming from DOS, coming from Windows 3.1, and going to Windows 95. Oh, it's just nothing like it today. It was a magical experience. All right, let's get our front panel back on here. Let's see how everything lines up. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, good. I really hate doing that. It feels like it's gonna break. Oh yeah, look at the front of this. That looks pretty good. I could poke this out a little bit more, but I'm good. Okay, now let's get the connectors in there. Since I happen to have a right angle connector SATA cable, that's exactly what I'm going to use. Okay, so that's the data cable, the power cable goes that side. Let's get the power cable first. Now, remember what I said about store your old PSU in the box and all the cables with it? I didn't know better back then, so it's all in this bag right here. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You know, I ran a 4080 Super off this 650 watt power supply. When I told the Micro Center guy that, he was like, "Wait, you're doing what?" Relax, dude. I know how wattages work. It's fine. And I'd be like, "Oh, nothing I was playing was that graphically intense," but it totally was. It totally was. I was playing Control, I was playing Portal RTX on that thing, and this little 650 watt power supply, God bless it, it was trying. Alright, so one of these is the one I want, and several of them are the ones I don't want. Okay, this is SATA, and this is also perif. Oh, okay, so this one's actually labeled SATA. That's the one I'm going to use then. Alright, so we just need the one SATA connector. It'll have 3 plugs on it, but that's fine. I don't care. Alright, these will go back in the bag with their friends to live in the basement, in the dark, alone, forever, until the next upgrade. Okay, step 1, we're going to disconnect one of these PCIe connectors here. Now, if I remember correctly, the manual said that VGA 1 and 3 are on separate rails, which is why I rigged this up this way. But the most important thing we're going to have to do is a little snip action, because with it being in a case that doesn't have a power supply shroud, I zip tied it. Plastic is not electrically conductive and therefore is a better option for when you need to do that. Oh, I shouldn't have sealed the bag. Than twist ties with a metal core. I don't know why this is such a common practice when it's obviously a stupid idea. Now, interestingly, the cables are labeled perif, but on the board they're labeled SATA. It's a choice. It's not a choice I would make, but it's a choice. Okay, now we're gonna feed our power supply into here. When I bought this case, it was because it was the cheapest that fit my parts. This was not something I was proud of. This was just to get the thing turned on. Now, it's actually useful because it actually has an optical disk drive, which was not a priority for me back then, but turned out to be one now. Again, riveting content as Mia screws into a hole that you can't see. Now, it's more about the discussion, right? Nobody comes here to see my face. My main issue with this PSU, aside from its low wattage, is the fact that it's actually really loud. Okay, that's one. Now we'll do the opposite corner. And we'll do one of the adjacent corners. I usually go up so I can maintain clockwise. And finally, the bottom right corner. This case does not have good cable management options. I said that when I was building it before, and now I really mean it. It's really a pain to build in this thing. Okay, so there's not really a good way to get the CPU power connector up to the top, through the back, and up through the top. So we're going to have to just do it like that. Just route it around it. I mean, listen, this thing is not a gaming rig. It is not meant to be seen. It'll be fine. Okay, CPU clip down. We're just gonna route that wherever. Does it really matter in this case? Does it matter? Okay, SATA connector, I'm just gonna take the furthest endpoint one. This is not the optimal way to do this, but it will get the job done, and that is all that matters. Okay, haha, it went in. I got it. Okay, we can move on. 24 pin connector, here we go. Done. Let's get the cable out of the way of the fan. This airflow is going to be terrible, but we're not going to be pushing this thing hard for any real meaningful thing. Okay, graphics card. It's a 1063 gig. It makes video. That's about as good as I can say this thing is. Oh, the screws are in the case. Let's take those out. I'm going to need my longer screwdriver for this one. Oh, ooh, I almost forgot the M.2 drive. I have to do that before the graphics card or we'll never get it done. That was close. Okay, M.2 drive. Just a 2 terabyte Crucial P310. It's fine for what we're doing. Okay, we've got a standoff there with a screw in it, so we gotta pull that out. Okay, M.2 drive is in. Graphics card, now that I've got the screws. Here we go. Oh, that clicked in real nice. Okay. Next, we screw that down to the case. You know, I worked at a movie theater for 8 years. I used to have impeccable night vision. I used to be able to see things in the dark that no one else could. Now I'm 35 and I'm getting old and I haven't needed my night vision so much. All right, 6 pin connector in, and I'm just gonna seal it up. I don't care this much. To give you an idea of how old this motherboard is, those are PS2 connectors, and you probably don't even know what those are. All right, side panel, the weird one with the speed holes in it. What's going on now? You know what I just realized? I don't have a monitor for this. All right, I have absolutely no idea if this is gonna work at all. Let's go find out. Well, I can tell you this, the optical drive's not gonna work without this. You need power and data to make the SATA work. Let's take the side panel off again. I knew I forgot something. I forget something every time. Don't mind me. I definitely don't have ADHD and it's definitely not bad enough to need treatment. Okay. All right. Let's go find out what works. Okay, so I've temporarily hooked the ripping rig up to the display out cable that I had just been using for the gaming PC, its keyboard, and its mouse. I've got a Windows 11 installation drive in there that I made with Rufus to bypass everything, including online connectivity, etc. That should work. It should create an account for me and everything. Local. I don't even have, this thing doesn't have Wi-Fi. It's not connected over Ethernet. It's effectively air-gapped from the internet in this house, and that is the way I plan to use it. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. Hey, oh, yes to reset FTPM. The last CPU that was in here was the 5800X 3D, now it's a 2700X. Is it just looping? Let's go into the menu here. 16 gigabytes of RAM, 2133, yeah, let's fix that. These are 3000 sticks, So I think we'll be able to do that. LG LED controller off, that's what I want. That should be UEFI. Save changes and exit. Okay. Hey, your PC needs to be repaired. Okay. I think it's gonna just boot into, yeah. I'm only installing Windows on here temporarily because I need to install a special firmware for this Blu-ray drive. After that, I plan on running Linux on it. Probably Arch. Haven't decided yet. Maybe Debian's a better option, but I don't know which runs make MKV best, so if you know, put it in the comments, please. I'm in uncharted waters here. Okay, that looks like a Windows installation screen. I agree everything will be deleted, yeah, I know. Enter product key. I don't have a product key. I'm not gonna get a product key. Yeah, I know. Install it. Let's go. Rufus is a very useful tool, but when I was trying to do this, it didn't give me all the options that I expected when I was first burning it from the ISO that I downloaded from Microsoft. And then Microsoft blocked my IP address from being able to download it through Rufus. I think they're like, nope, too many attempts, you're being weird, I'm out. And apparently you just have to wait a couple of days, but I didn't want to wait a couple of days, and here we are. So I was able to get it to work with the ISO I'd already downloaded. For some reason, the second time I burned it, it gave me all the prompts for, like, you know, enable local account, whatever, all that. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. It didn't give me those prompts the first time, but hey, it worked for the second time, and that's the time I needed it to, right? So we're good. Honestly, coming from Linux, Windows just feels so antiquated now, especially with Windows 11 and all the bloatware and weird stuff that they put in there for some reason. A lot of people are switching from Windows to Linux right now because they're not happy with the way Windows has handled the Windows 11 forced rollout. So you're getting a lot of first-time Linux users, and things are proving to be interesting for them. There's a meme in the Linux community of like, oh my god, just give me the exe file. And it's like, what? You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know enough to know how silly of a request that is. Hey, at least it didn't force me to go online, force me to create a Microsoft account, any of that nonsense. No, no, no. This is an offline, air-gapped machine. I just need to install some firmware on this drive and get it running, and we'll be fine. You stay over there, I'll stay over here, we'll respect each other, and then I'll violently delete you from the system as soon as possible. I just keep waiting for the nerd news to come in that's like, oh yeah, by the way, if you used Rufus to bypass the account stuff, then congratulations, you now have 6 million viruses. I know that's not a thing, and the developers of Rufus are very active on Reddit. They talk to people, they explain how everything works. It's open source, like, you know, there's no magic here. It's just disabling select registry entries and things like that. Like, it's not that crazy of a thing. It's just, I feel uncomfortable anytime I don't just get the ISO from the trusted source and put it on the drive. Any intermediary steps, I'm like, ugh. Ah, the infamous Windows just a moment. I don't know if anyone else is a Kitboga fan out there, but just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Leave your mouse. Oh, God. Why is it so bright? Let's connect you to a network. I don't have internet. I've never heard of that. What is this internet of which you speak? I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do for a monitor for this thing. I don't really want to keep it up here. I don't really have space for it, but I don't have monitors anywhere else. Maybe I'll buy like a cheap whatever, like maybe a touchscreen even, so I can just do it there and be done with it. Maybe that's the way to go. I'll give that some thought. And of course, if you have ideas, comments, please. Sure you are. I'm sure. Oh. Wow. I forgot how much I hate Windows 11 out of the box. Oh, it's not going to give me a display driver until it can connect to the internet. See, that's how they get you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, dark mode. Oh, thank you. Taskbar settings. Search, hide. Task view off, widgets off. Taskbar behavior, task alignment left, automatically hide. Stop trying to make Edge happen, it's never going to happen. Themes, desktop icon settings, And it brings up the Windows XP version. Okay. Great. Recycle bin's gone. Cool. Okay. We've got a working Windows 11 installation on our ripping rig. How exciting. Join me next time as I install a bunch of firmware updates, probably fail, screw up, try again, and eventually get the ripping rig up and ripping. Thank you for stopping by for another video. I hope this was mildly interesting. That's about all I can hope for on this one. And have a nice day. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.